Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new meta threat in the Master League Premier Cup, and that is Gholdengo. Gholdengo is a Ghost and Steel type Pokemon with the moveset of Hex, Shadow Ball, and Focus Blast, and this thing looks to be an absolute beast in the Master Premier Cup. Since I know it's not the easiest Pokemon to get, I will also be covering some of the Pokemon that you can use if you don't have Gholdengo to help defeat opponents who are using it. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Gholdengo in action in the Master Premier Cup. Hopping to the first match, leading Gholdengo into Dragonite. Now this is a somewhat favorable matchup for Gholdengo. I'm going to stay in this matchup to start with, tank a move, go for the Shadow Ball, and then I am going to look to switch out of here. Because if my opponent does have a Fairy type in the back, I do need to bait it out with the Gyarados safe switch. So I'm going to fire off the Shadow Ball. That deals quite a bit of damage, and now I can send in Gyarados. My opponent is going to respond with a Togekiss, so it's definitely good that I was able to lure this out. That should hopefully free up my Dragonite to close in the endgame. Aqua Tail is going to connect, Gyarados continuing to farm. I do have a pretty nice energy lead, so if they try and farm down, I should be able to make it to a third Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail is going to get them low, Togekiss looking for the farm down, but Gyarados not going to let that happen, making it to a third Aqua Tail and grabbing a shield. Now, I should just be able to no-shield and farm down here with Gholdengo, but on the off chance this is an old Togekiss running Flamethrower, I will respect it with a shield. My opponent goes for an Ancient Power bait, trying to make it to the big move, but they're not able to get there. And now my opponent is in a bit of an interesting spot. They send in the Dragonite, but the Dragonite is very low. I'm going to let this go, as I should be able to tank it. They go for the Dragon Claw. In the back, oh no, they have Metagross, and this game is over. Gholdengo goes for the Shadow Ball, gets the shield. Gholdengo able to hang on and make it to Shadow Ball number 2. Metagross vaporized by the Shadow Ball. My Dragonite farms down theirs, and that's game over. Moving into the next match, leading Gholdengo into Mamoswine. Now this is a matchup that can go either way. It's bait dependent on the side of the Mamoswine. Now Mamoswine can win the 2 shield here, but it does have to double bait and get 2 avalanches shielded in order to win the 2s. Whereas for Gholdengo, Gholdengo can pretty safely go triple Shadow Ball and win the 2 shield as long as a high horsepower does get shielded. My opponent does have enough for the high horsepower here. I will commit the shield, and this time they full send it. That's big. My opponent is now going to send in a Waterfall Gyarados, and that's going to be hit with Shadow Ball. Gholdengo just hits everything so hard in this meta. I'm going to farm up, switch, and then catch a move onto my Gyarados. So this way, I save energy on Gholdengo for later, and now my Dragon Breath Gyarados can make pretty quick work of their Waterfall one. They're going to make another charge move here, that's perfectly fine. I don't have any shields remaining, but it's only going to be a resisted Aqua Tail, so I will get the farm down. I leave with quite a bit of energy. We'll have to see what does my opponent have. Do we see the Mamoswine? Because the Mamoswine definitely not going to appreciate the Aqua Tail here. In comes the Mamoswine, I fire off the Aqua Tail, that's going to get them low, looking for the farm down. In the back, it is Metagross. Metagross is going to be met with the crunch from the Gyarados. This will deal some solid damage, gets the shield, and I can snipe with the Gholdengo. Shadow Ball doesn't one-shot from full, but it just about does. Gets the Metagross low, we get the farm down of both the Metagross and the Mamoswine. Picking up a decent lead in the next match, Gholdengo into Gyarados. Now this matchup is why you want 15 defense on Gholdengo in the Master League, because if you have less than 15 defense, Dragon Breath from Gyarados actually does 3 damage per turn instead of 2. So I bank some energy, save switch into Gyarados to check and see if they have a Fairy type in the back. They do not, but unfortunately I am met with Magnezone. I fire off the Aqua Tail, that's going to connect. Gyarados looking to make it to the Aqua Tail, and I'm not able to get there. And that's a bit uncomfortable, as Magnezone does have a lot of play in this team. They have so much energy. I decide to let this through. It's the Wild Charge, and unfortunately they do have the back-to-back. I will commit a shield and then look to overfarm as much as I can. I am going to have to throw a move to get rid of the Magnezone, but I want to try and leave with some energy to hopefully grab a shield back from whatever my opponent has in the back. So down goes the Magnezone. We'll have to see, do they send in the Gyarados? They do not. They send in Obstagoon, and I am not baiting. Going straight for the Focus Blast into the Obstagoon, but the Obstagoon commits the shield. I send in Dragonite. This is not enough for a Hyper Beam, so I'm going to let this go. My opponent fires off Obstruct, buffing their defense while lowering mine. That is really not good news for me. I fire off the Dragon Claw into the Gyarados, getting the Gyarados low. I farm up here, go for the Dragon Claw, and I win CMP over the Gyarados. That is quite nice. Dragon Claw is going to KO. Back in comes the Obstagoon. Obstagoon, this is going to be tough as I am running rapidly low on HP. I commit the shield. It's the Obstruct. Continue to farm, switch, and catch onto Gholdengo. We caught the Night Slash. I think I still have to bait to try and win this. Back in with the Dragonite, going for the Dragon Claw bait, needing my opponent to shield. Opponent commits the shield. Dragonite farming up, winning CMP over the Obstagoon in a match where everything seemed to go wrong. We somehow find a way to win. Hopping into the next match, picking up a terrible lead, Gholdengo into Excadrill. I'm going to save switch into Gyarados, and my opponent responds with Dragonite. Now, when it comes to Pokemon that can absolutely crush Gholdengo, Excadrill is going to be your best bet. And the good news is Drillbur was actually widely available in the wild during the Sustainability Week event, so there's a decent chance that if you grinded that event, you're going to have the XLs for the XL Excadrill. Now, Excadrill, as long as it's not in a situation where it has no shields and Gholdengo has a ton of energy, can very commandingly beat Gholdengo, so if you're looking to counter Gholdengo, that's going to be a really good pick. Additionally, if you have a Garchomp back from when we had the Gible Day, Garchomp is also going to be a really good option. So you can see here, I was able to take switch, but Exca with energy is very tricky for this team. I'm going to farm up, opponent goes for a catch onto their Gyarados, and I can send in Gholdengo. Opponent accidentally throwing on alignment, giving me a Hex for free. Crunch is going to connect. They do get the defense drop, and I'm going to continue to farm up with Gholdengo and return fire with the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball gets the shield. Gyarados looking for the farm down. That's not going to happen. Gholdengo is going to commit the shield on the Aqua Tail, and I will be able to reach the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball, we've seen it hits very hard into Gyarados. Shadow Ball connects. Gholdengo gets the farm down. Opponent can send in the Exca. They have a Rock Slide, but Dragonite, unfortunately, is going to win CMP, so Exca cannot throw the move, and that's game over. Picking up a great lead in the next match, Gholdengo into Chestnut. Chestnut is a Pokemon that we did begin to see a lot more usage of in the most recent Master Premier rotation. However, unfortunately, it struggles mightily against Gholdengo as both Frenzy Plant and Superpower are resisted, and Gholdengo can hit back hard with neutral Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball connects, nearly getting Chestnut into the red health. Chestnut makes another move. Again, I don't have to shield this. I'm going to let this through, save the energy, and bring in Gyarados to check for any fairy types. Unfortunately, Chestnut is able to hang on with a sliver of HP remaining, make the Frenzy Plant, and deal a lot of damage to the Gyarados. In comes Exca, and honestly, this works out nicely for me. I have a pretty big energy lead, I can fire off the Aqua Tail, and get them a lot lower health. My opponent did overfarm somewhat, and honestly, I don't really want them to leave this matchup with energy, so I'm going to commit the shield, return fire with the Aqua Tail, grab a shield of their own, and hopefully they'll not overfarm as much here. Aqua Tail is going to get the shield, opponent is going to throw, and that works out quite nicely for me. I'm just going to let this through, and now I can bring back in Dragonite. In comes Dragonite, farming up, I switch, and catch the Rock Slide onto Gholdengo. I'm putting my faith into Dragonite to win this game. In the back, oh no, they have Metagross, and I have made a mistake. I needed Gholdengo for the end game. I'm going to fire off the Dragon Claw bait here, hoping they commit the shield, but my opponent calls it. That is not good for me. I'm going to bait again. I desperately need them to shield the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw does get shielded. Okay, maybe this is possible. I just have to make it to the Superpower. I will commit the shield on the Meteor Mash. Dragonite wins CMP over Metagross, firing off the Superpower. Superpower gets the KO. In comes the Exca. Exca cannot make a move, and that's a good game. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Gholdengo into Mamoswine. As I mentioned before, this is a matchup that can go either way. It's very bait dependent on the side of the Mamoswine. If Mamoswine is able to successfully double Avalanche bait, then they are able to win the 2 shield. But if even one high horsepower is shielded, which it is here, then Gholdengo can guarantee a 2 shield victory. I fire off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to get the shield from the Mamoswine. I continue to farm up. Opponent going for another move. This is enough for the high horsepower, so I'm willing to double shield. High horsepower will be shielded. I'm going to farm up and fire off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball, I'm hoping to undercharge and get some farm. They actually commit the final shield, and this is the perfect demonstration of the 2 shield. Unless they bait twice, they will get outpaced, and Shadow Ball will be lethal. We'll have to see what my opponent is going to decide to bring in now that Mamoswine has been KO'd. They send in Salamence. What a pick. And here, I make a crucial mistake. As soon as I saw Salamence, I should have pivoted to check if they had a fairy type in the back, because as you're going to see, they have a Charm Primarina in the back, and I did not save my Gholdengo. So at this point, I'm in a lot of trouble. Crunch is going to connect. I do get the defense drop. Gyarados continuing to farm, going for the Aqua Tail, but unfortunately, everything I throw is going to be resisted here. Aqua Tail, even with the debuff, does not do a lot. Primarina gets the farm down. I can send in Gholdengo basically just to force them to throw energy, and then farm down with the Dragonite, and my only hope is that the Salamence does not have a move. Salamence only has nukes. Do they have it? Yes, they do, and I'm going to get one shot here by Outrage. That's going to be goodbye Dragonite, and that's game over. Picking up a decent lead in the next match, Gholdengo into another Dragonite. Same game plan as before. I want to tank a move, fire off a Shadow Ball, and then eventually save switch into the Gyarados. I continue to farm up with the Gholdengo, and I'm able to get a Hex through as the opponent goes for their move. They go for the Dragon Claw. I'm going to immediately return fire with a Shadow Ball, and then look to save switch into the Gyarados. Shadow Ball connects, in comes the Gyarados. Gyarados not quite able to Dragon Breath down, as Dragonite will make another Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw is going to connect. My opponent is now going to send in Ursaluna. Now, Ursaluna, in the Master Premier Cup anyway, honestly does seem to be quite the nice pick. It's able to absorb that super effective Aqua Tail and then hit for double super effective with the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch is going to be lethal. I'm going to send in Dragonite and look to commit to the farm down, as Thunder Punch only hits for neutral and Dragonite does have some pretty decent bulk to it. They go for the Thunder Punch. Dragonite able to tank it and fully get the farm down. We'll have to see what does the opponent want to bring in here. They're going to bring in their final Pokemon, which is Metagross. And Metagross is just what Gholdengo absolutely loves to see. I'm going to send in Gholdengo. Opponent brings in Dragonite. Dragonite is getting hexed down by Gholdengo. Gholdengo now with 100 energy, looking to make Metagross feel the pain. Able to grab shield number 1. Opponent is just going to go straight Meteor Mash, hoping to try and get rid of the Gholdengo so they can get rid of the Dragonite. However, Gholdengo is going to prove to be a difficult Pokemon to get rid of here. Going for the Shadow Ball. Opponent lets it through, and that's game over. Picking up a fairly decent lead in the next match, Gholdengo into Gyarados. As I mentioned earlier, it's a fairly neutral matchup, but one that will typically favor the Gholdengo. Opponent is going to fire off the Crunch as soon as they get there. I'm going to let this through. Crunch is going to connect, dealing quite a bit of damage. I throw one more Hex, return fire with the Shadow Ball, and then I am going to look to save switch into my own Gyarados. I bring in my own Gyarados, looking for the farm down. Opponent sends in a Metagross, so they clearly are very weak to my Gyarados in the back. I'm going for the Crunch right off the bat here. Not going to KO, but would do quite a lot of damage. My opponent commits the shield, so this has me thinking that honestly my Gyarados is probably pretty valuable, so I am going to commit the shield here. It is just going to be the resisted Meteor Mash, but I do want to try and preserve HP. Unfortunately, there was a little bit of frame rate drop there. I end up throwing on alignment, giving them a move for free. Definitely not ideal. I will be able to tank this Meteor Mash and farm down, and that way I leave with a lot of energy to threaten whatever they decide to bring in. My guess is they're going to bring in their own Gyarados, hoping for me to throw. I go for the farm down, but I cannot get there. With 1 HP remaining, they make an Aqua Tail, force a shield in the back. They have their own Dragonite. I'm going to go for the Crunch. Not going to be lethal, but will deal some chip damage and get a defense drop, and that's game over. I can just Dragon Breath down from here. They go for the Dragon Claw, but this will not be enough to KO. My Dragonite tanks the Dragon Claw, will fully farm down the Dragonite and the Gyarados, and get the win. Hopping to the final match, leading Gholdengo into Magnezone. Now this is a fairly neutral matchup across the board, definitely a bait-dependent one. Whereas Magnezone can of course output a lot of damage with Wild Charge, but the nice thing is, Gholdengo can tank a Wild Charge from full. Tough decision here. I decide to commit the shield. It's the Wild Charge. Opponent stays in, and I'm able to fire off the Shadow Ball. They're debuffed, so Shadow Ball should be lethal here. They're going to commit the shield. Opponent going for another Wild Charge. I'm going to let this go. Even if it is the Wild Charge, I am able to hang on and make another Shadow Ball. If they shield this, I think I'm going to have to switch out. I fire off the Shadow Ball. That's going to grab the shield. I send in Dragonite. Due to their debuff defense, these Dragon Breaths are tearing through the Magnezone. They'll fire off a wild charge, I commit the final shield, and now my opponent is going to send in Gyarados. Gyarados going to be met with a lot of energy from the Dragonite. Dragonite going for Dragon Claw number 1, and making it to Dragon Claw number 2 on the CMP tie. Very, very nice. This Dragon Claw not going to KO, but it will get my opponent quite low. I have no shields remaining. I just have to let this damage through. It is going to be the crunch. We do not see a defense drop as I get the farm down. In the back, my opponent has Mamoswine. I'm going to send in Gyarados here. I do tank an Avalanche. This is going to be interesting. Aqua Tail should just about KO here, so I should hopefully be in a decent spot. I farm up with the Gyarados. Opponent sends in the Magnezone, and I miscount. I thought I could throw a couple more Dragon Breaths, but they're already at the Wild Charge, and I think that just cost me the game. In comes the Mamoswine. We die with the Shadow Ball, and that's game over. All in all, I think Gholdengo will make an immediate impact on the Master Premier meta, as it has play into basically any Pokemon that you can see. If, of course, you don't have access to Gholdengo or don't want to run it, the good news is there are some Pokemon that can counter it quite well. The main ones, of course, being Excadrill, which was just available in this most recent event with Drillbur spawns, and Garchomp from the Calm Day. So, in conclusion, if you have a Gholdengo, probably worth running, because this thing is an absolute beast. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible, so thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.